something that Tiara and I both have kind of been messing around with is this idea of like your best timeline versus you being able to create your timeline. We had started reading a guy by the name of like Neville Goddard. He has this idea of you can basically, manifest or create what you want. And that's kind of where Tiara and I said, okay, we need to pause this conversation and save it for the podcast. Tiara, is that a good way to kind of wrap up or summarize where we're at in the dialogue?
Yeah, I think that was perfect, honestly, because we do tend to talk a lot outside of the podcast about this stuff, and we try to save like the most important parts for moments like this where we can share it with people.
So when we left it off, we were talking about like your best timeline, being that you're performing at your optimal state. And I'm not really sure how to describe it anymore because I'm now, I guess, transitioning away from that mentality and where Neville is and saying, well, you can create whatever you want. So what exactly defines your best timeline?
So I think he talks a lot about just, searching from within, or your external reality being a mirror of what's going on within yourself. So that also kind of ties into like you creating whatever reality you desire. So, if there is something inherent within you that you want to improve, you're going to see a reflection of that in your external reality. And as long as you keep, with the constant and consistent realization and ever evolving awareness of self, you'll continuously see your external reality improve. Like that's kind of the gist I get from his stuff.
The way I guess, view what he talks about, you're able to become the god of your own reality. That's powerful stuff.
It is. But he really hooked me in when he started talking about the duality of the mind, the subconscious, the conscious, and even giving them like such a polarity where he said like the subconscious is really feminine and the conscious mind is really masculine. Thereof also like your subconscious is more subjective and then your conscious mind is objective. So when he put it in that sort of perspective, I was like, but it was kind of just like a really nice reminder that out of feminine energy, there are so many things that are created, and
right.
the masculine energy is just kind of like the container for that. So we sort of have to realize that and remind ourselves of that in our day-to-day life. We tend to live from our more masculine conscious mind, but what's actually creating that is something that's underneath, which is the feminine subconscious mind. So we all have this polarity energy inside of all of us, and that's just kind of how it's co-creating our entire reality.
Well, something that I was thinking of is like how, if everything's happening right now, then there is no, and this is what comes into the whole feeling structure, right? Is we're told there is no past or future. It's all just now. Like there's the infinite now, and, past and future are an essential illusion.
Yes.
And so therefore, if you're able to, let's say, biohack or hack your subconscious into realizing that right now is that future. I have that car. I have that laptop. I have that money. I have that relationship. Then you can live as if it's already happening, which makes it occur in your external reality.
Yep, exactly. And, Neville talks a lot about like, I don't know if you got to this part or like this really resonated with you, but not so much like thinking of the end, but thinking from the end. And just feeling how it would feel when you have that car, like literally putting yourself in the state of mind, putting yourself in that moment, even of like, what do your seats feel like? What color is the interior? What color is the exterior? Like picture yourself grabbing the handle, getting into the car, sitting in it, feeling the wheel. Like all of those physical sensations and emotions that you would feel put you in that moment, technically, because there is no past, present, or future. And then you automatically like create that energy signature for yourself that just attracts it to you like more and more and at a faster and more rapid rate, with repetition. And even if you like go to sleep doing this every single day or wake up doing this every single day, it's like such a powerful, powerful thing because you then not only start to think as if you're this person with this car, but you're being as if you're this person with this car.
Right. And what you're touching on, and this might be a key distinction for people that are going to be researching this or looking this up, is what we were talking about at the beginning was like the law of attraction. And then what this is and what he has kind of laid out is the law of
Mm-hmm.
assumption. And it's like that assumption of already being where you want to be, right? It's like if you want a new car, don't don't think about having a new car, assume you already have it, and think about that first, like oil
Yep.
change is kind of the way that he would describe that.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, I don't know about you, but I even do certain things to just kind of play with it and have fun with it and put myself in that more childlike mind state. So even if you like draw out the symbol of the car that you want and you put it on the steering wheel, so when you're looking at your steering wheel, you don't see your old car logo, you see the new one. You know what I mean? Like stuff like that, even though it's a little bit more playful, it's still imprinting on your subconscious, and your subconscious is believing like, oh, this is my car, because it's in make believe, it's in
All right.
dreamland, it's in like that age of 1 to 7 when you were, 5 years old and you were doing stuff like that and you fully believed, that you were driving that car at 5 years old.
No, and I have a perfect personal example. There's so he tells you to create like a
Yeah.
scene, in your mind of like what you envision. And I don't want to go into the specifics about this particular thing that I'm trying to cultivate, but I created that scene, and then like you're saying, I even like kind of drew in my notebook like a couple pictures that would have occurred in
Mm-hmm.
that scene. And I shit you not, literally 2 days ago, I've been working on this for 4 days. 2 days ago, I saw that exact picture on somebody's timeline on my
Oh, I
Instagram
love
story.
that. That's so cool.
Right. I was like, oh my gosh, like this is like what he talks about is almost like the key to
Mm-hmm.
manifesting. It seems like this is what everyone's trying to point to, but he's highlighted like the most I don't want to say scientific because he doesn't go into it, but the most logically like available thing that we have
Yeah,
almost.
absolutely. Like I think if you want to look at it from a science perspective, you're probably going to look more at like Dr. Joe Dispenza when he talks about like breaking the habit of being yourself, or like becoming supernatural, because he has a lot of science to back it up. Neville kind of comes from a more, it's like mystic, but it's also something that sort of just makes sense and it is logical if you're one of those people that is constantly questioning these things in your head but has never found the answers. Because another thing is like those answers aren't necessarily going to come from outside of yourself all the time. There are instances that, the universe kind of throws these things at you or like puts you in these um coincidental places. Coincidental, I don't really believe in coincidences, but um the answer is always found within yourself, and your desires are found within yourself. Anything that ever is experienced, I feel like, is related to that, because we're all just here sort of remembering things.
I was going to say like self-sabotage is an interesting
Yeah.
thing, right? It's like, say that you want a certain car, right? Say your dream car, and everything's lined up for you to get it, and you quote unquote
Mm-hmm.
self-sabotage. It's like, well, is it a limiting belief that caused you to do that? Or is that just not really the car that you really want? Do you really want something
I
else?
mean, oof, that can go so many different ways. I think it is really depending on the person and, you know, I guess what their life direction is. Because some people could really be set on like, I want this car, this is my dream car, this is my desire. I think if it's coming from a place of lack, or this will make me happy, that's when it starts to become like, maybe I didn't really want this car.
And so that kind of is that transformation of like the what is it, the law of attraction into the law of
Yes.
assumption.
Yeah. We kind of start out our spiritual journey sometimes with the law of attraction just because it's more mainstream now. Um, but I think the law of assumption is really key. Like that's where it's at, because, the law of
Yeah.
attraction is sort of painted of like, oh, you attract whatever you desire. What you want is already yours, this, that, and third, but you kind of have to come from it a perspective that what I desire is already mine. It's already here. And the only thing that is disconnecting me or misaligning me from that desire is me and how I feel, my thoughts, beliefs, and emotions at this now present moment. So I take time out of it, take relativity of certain things out of it.
Taking these incremental steps of like, okay, well, this feels just a little bit better than this.
Yeah, or even just like,
right?
I'm kind of thinking at it from this point of, say you got in an argument with somebody and you're kind of in this like tug of war of like, I should text them this or call them or tell them off, or I probably should just stay silent until I feel a little bit better so that I don't say anything I regret, because both of those choices have momentum behind them. So you telling them off might lead to this huge argument. You're both going to say things that you regret. You excuse me, you may get into such a bad argument with somebody that you may not even speak to them ever again. And that's the momentum and the energy behind this emotional choice that you made. And then the other emotional choice is, you guys reconciling eventually, realizing that you misunderstood each other, or maybe there was miscommunication. You're taking your egos out of it and they're no longer involved. And then the momentum of that choice actually is concluded with you guys having an even better relationship than you did before with this person.